Welcome to this explosive edition of our Entertainment Roundup, where the world of daytime television just got a whole lot steamier. Imagine the glittering studios of ITV's Loose Women, that iconic panel show where British women dish on everything from politics to personal woes. And today, it's not just any guest stepping into the spotlight, it's the incomparable Kate Winslet, fresh off her latest triumph in a gritty drama series that's got critics raving about her raw, unfiltered portrayal of a woman reclaiming her power after years of industry scrutiny. Kate, with her golden hair cascading like a waterfall of confidence and her eyes sparkling with that signature mix of vulnerability and steel, strides onto the set amid applause that echoes through the bustling Manchester studio. The audience a sea of eager faces, many of whom have idolized her since Titanic made her a household name. She's there to promote her new film, a poignant tale of body positivity and media madness, but little does she know, the air is already thick with tension, courtesy of the panel's firebrand, Denise Welch, whose no-holds-barred style has made her a tabloid darling and a lightning rod for controversy. As the theme music fades, host Christine Lampard beams her trademark warmth, introducing Kate with effusive praise. Kate Winslet, Everinian actress, activist, and eternal icon. The crowd erupts again, but Denise, perched at the end of the curved desk like a sentinel guarding her turf, offers only a tight-lipped smile, her fingers drumming subtly on the polished wood, a telltale sign that she's brewing something fierce beneath that impeccably coiffed exterior. Kate settles into her seat, crossing her legs elegantly in a tailored emerald dress that hugs her curves without apology, a subtle nod to the very themes she'll soon defend with every fiber of her being. The conversation kicks off lightly enough, with the other panelists Nadia Sawalha and Jane Moria gushing over Kate's career longevity, from the sweeping romance of Doorways on doomed ships to the harrowing depths of marital strife in Mare of Easttown. Kate laughs modestly, waving off the compliments with a gracious hand, sharing anecdotes about her early days on set, how the weight of Rose's corset felt like a metaphor for the invisible binds Hollywood imposed on young women like her. But as the minutes tick by, the tone shifts imperceptibly, like storm clouds gathering on a deceptively sunny horizon. Denise, with her sharp Geordie wit honed from years on Coronation Street and in the public eye, leans forward, her voice laced with that full casual edge that masks deeper barbs. Kate, love, you've always been so vocal about body image, haven't you? It's inspiring. Really, though some might say it's a bit rich coming from someone who's graced the covers of Vogue looking like a goddess. The studio lights seem to dim just a fraction, or perhaps it's the collective intake of breath from the audience, sensing the pivot from admiration to something sharper. Kate nods politely, her smile unwavering, replying with her characteristic poise, "Oh, it's not about looking like a goddess, Denise, it's about owning your skin, whatever shape it takes, and telling the trolls to bugger off." Laughter ripples through the room, but Denise's eyes narrow, unamused, as if Kate's deflection has only fueled her fire. The panel delves deeper into the topic of media scrutiny, with Jane recounting a recent scandal involving a young starlet photoshopped into oblivion, and Nadia championing the rise of unretouched campaigns. Kate chimes in passionately, her voice rising with genuine fervor as she recounts her own battles with the relentless headlines post-Titanic labeling her chubby or curvy catastrophe, the way producers once suggested she slimmed down for roles that demanded relatability but really meant conformity. "I remember one editor cornering me at a premiere," Kate says, her tone steady but her fists clenching subtly in her lap, "and he had the gall to say, 'Darling, you're brilliant, but that waistline, it's killing your marketability.' I looked him dead in the eye and said, 'Good, let it kill something, because it's not killing me.'" The audience cheers, a wave of solidarity washing over the set, but Denise shifts in her seat, her manicured nails tapping now with audible impatience. It's clear the conversation has unearthed old wounds for everyone involved. Denise, after all, has her own storied history with body shaming, from tabloid tirades during her soap opera heyday to public reckonings with addiction and recovery that left her raw and resilient. Yet, where Kate channels her pain into advocacy, Denise often wields hers like a weapon, unfiltered and unapologetic, a trait that's endeared her to fans who see her as the ultimate truth-teller but alienated others who view her as a provocateur too eager for the fight. As the segment progresses, the host tries to steer back to safer waters, asking Kate about her upcoming projects, a biopic on a forgotten suffragette, no less, but Denise interjects, her voice cutting through like a knife through silk. Speaking of fights, Kate, isn't it hypocritical to preach body positivity while the rest of us mere mortals get torn apart in the press? I mean, you've got the luxury of walking away from it all, retreating to your Cotswolds manor, while women like me slug it out in the trenches every day. The words hang in the air, heavy as lead, and for the first time, Kate's composure flickers, her brow furrowing just enough to betray the sting. The audience murmurs, a low buzz of discomfort, as Christine jumps in with a nervous laugh. Denise, that's a bit below the belt. But the damage is done, the gauntlet thrown, and Kate, ever the diplomat, responds with measured grace. Denise, we're all in the trenches. Love ya, some with diamond shovels, some with rusty ones, but the mud's the same. Let's not pretend otherwise. Yet beneath the civility, the tension coils tighter, a serpent ready to strike, setting the stage for the eruption that's about to shatter the show's genteel facade and send shockwaves through the chattering classes of Britain. And as the commercial break looms, the cameras catch Denise's smirk, a predator's gleam that promises the real showdown is yet to come, while Kate sips her water, steeling herself for the battle she never signed up for but will fight with the ferocity that's made her a legend. Back from the break, the studio hums with an undercurrent of electricity, the kind that precedes a thunderstorm you can feel in your bones, as the Loose Women panel reconvenes under the glare of those unforgiving spotlights that make every bead of sweat, every twitch of a lip, a potential headline. Kate Winslet, the epitome of poised elegance in her verdant gown that whispers of English gardens and quiet rebellions, adjusts her microphone with a steady hand, her mind no doubt racing through the labyrinth of potential pitfalls this interview has suddenly become. The audience, a diverse tapestry of housewives, retirees, and aspiring influencers, leans forward in their seats, phones at the ready to capture the drama unfolding in real time, because in 2025, every unscripted moment is currency in the court of public opinion. Christine Lampard, the consummate professional with her honeyed Welsh lilt, attempts to reset the vibe, pivoting to Kate's charitable endeavors, to her tireless work with environmental causes, diving into oceans to highlight plastic pollution, or championing education for girls in underprivileged communities. Kate, your Lee Miller film was a revelation, Christine says, her eyes pleading for smooth sailing. How did channeling that war photographer's defiance shape your views on women's resilience? Kate lights up, her face transforming from guarded to glowing as she dives into the tale, describing the grit of donning period uniforms and crawling through bombed-out sets. The way Miller's unapologetic gaze through the lens mirrored her own confrontations with an industry that often views women as props rather than powerhouses. It was liberating, Kate confesses, her voice rich with emotion, to play someone who said, "Bugger your expectations and I'll frame the world my way." The panel nods appreciatively, Nadia adding a heartfelt story of her own journalism days dodging sexism in newsrooms, and Jane quipping about modern woke mandates that finally force directors to see beyond the male gaze. But Denise Welch, that indomitable force of nature with her flame-red lipstick and a reputation for turning whispers into roars, isn't buying the harmony. She's been too quieted during the break, her mind churning like a Geordie tide, perhaps stung by Kate's earlier poise or fueled by some personal demon awakened by the body talk. As Kate wraps her anecdote, Denise pounces, her interruptions sharp as a stiletto heel. "Resilience, eh? That's rich coming from you, Kate. You swan about preaching self-love, but let's be honest, back in the day, when they called you out for that Titanic tum, you didn't exactly suffer in silence, did you? You lawyered up, shut them down, while the rest of us had to grin and bear it, plastering on war paint to hide the scars." The studio falls into a stunned hush, the audience's applause from moments ago replaced by a collective gasp that sucks the oxygen from the room. Kate's eyes widen, a flash of hurt crossing her features before she reins it in, her jaw setting in that determined line familiar from her screen role as think the unyielding mother in Revolutionary Road or the steely detective piecing together small-town secrets. "Denise," she begins, her tone even but edged with ice. "Those calls out weren't critiques, they were cruelty, calculated to chip away at a 21-year-old girl's soul. And yes, I fought back, and not with lawyers first, but with words, with presence, because silence is what they bank on." The exchange crackles, the cameras zooming in tight on their faces, capturing every micro-expression, Denise's defiant tilt of the chin, Kate's steady gaze that dares her to push further, the other panelists squirm, Nadia murmuring a soft "let's keep it civil, ladies," while Jane fans herself with a cue card, the heat not just from the lights but from the burgeoning inferno. Viewers at home, tuned in via streaming apps or traditional telly, flood social media with reactions to #loose women drama trending within seconds, tweets flying like confetti, "Denise at it again, go Kate," versus "about time someone called out the hypocrisy." Denise, undeterred, presses on, her voice rising in pitch and volume, drawing from her own well of grievances the postpartum body shaming after birthing her sons, the addiction battle splashed across front pages, the way her bipolar diagnosis became fodder for late-night punchlines. "You talk a big game about harassment, Kate, but try being the working-class lass from Newcastle who gets labeled loose for daring to speak her mind. Your fights are TED Talks, mine are survival." It's a gut punch, raw and revealing, peeling back the layers of celebrity gloss to expose the universal ache of judgment, but delivered with such venom that it lands as an assault rather than empathy. Kate, no stranger to the ring, having sparred with directors, divorced husbands, and her own insecurity, feels the shift, the conversation morphing from dialogue to duel. She leans in, her voice dropping to a husky timbre that commands attention. "Survival, Denise, we're both survivors, but weaponizing our pain against each other, that's the real harassment, isn't it? Dividing women when we should be dismantling the machine that grinds us down." The audience erupts in a mix of cheers and uneasy applause, the energy chaotic now, like a powder keg with a lit fuse. Christine, sweating under her blazer, signals for a quick breather, but it's too late. The confrontation has ignited, and as the panel barrels toward the ad break, Denise's retort hangs unfinished, a promise of more fireworks, while Kate's resolve hardens, her mind already calculating the cost of staying versus the triumph of walking away. In this pressure cooker of pixels and personalities, the line between candid chat and public pillory blurs, reminding us all that behind every icon is a woman who's bled for her spotlight, and today, that blood might just spill on live TV. The tension in the Loose Women studio thickens post-break like fog rolling off the Thames, obscuring the once clear boundaries of banter and barb, as the cameras roll once more on a set that now feels more like a gladiatorial arena than a cozy chat show. Kate Winslet, the Oscar-winning titan whose laughter has charmed generations and whose tears and interviews have moved millions, sits straighter now, her posture a fortress of quiet strength, the emerald fabric of her dress catching the light like armor forged in feminist fires. The audience, that loyal cadre of daytime devotees, shifts restlessly in their plush seats, whispers rippling through the rows like wind through wheat, some rooting for Kate's unassailable grace, others thrilled by Denise Welch's unbridled audacity, the kind that turns ordinary afternoons into viral legend. Christine Lampard, her smile a touch more strained than before, like a tightrope walker eyeing the net below, launches into a desperate detour. "Right, ladies, let's talk something uplifting. Kate, your role in that climate docuseries, diving with whales off the Azores, it was breathtaking. How did that change your perspective on our fragile planet?" Kate seizes the lifeline, her expression softening as she transports everyone to those cerulean depths, describing the silent symphony of humpback songs echoing through saltwater vales, the humbling scale of creatures that dwarf human hubris. "It was a reminder," she says, her voice weaving magic, "that we're guests here, not owners. Our bodies, our world, all on loan, to be cherished, not commodified." Nadia and Jane latch on, sharing eco-anxieties from their own lives and Nadia's allotment garden battles against pesticides, Jane's crusade against fast fashion's hidden toll, creating a brief oasis of unity, the panel's chemistry sparking like old friends around a campfire. But peace is fleeting when Denise is in the house. Her silence during Kate's soliloquy is a coiled spring, and as applause fades, she unleashes it with precision. Cherished bodies, eh? Funny how you lot in Hollywood get to choose your narrative. A whale dives and red carpets while us telefolk get the dregs. Reality TV vultures picking at our real flaws. You call it harassment, I call it the job description. The words slice through the goodwill, landing with the thud of a dropped mic, and the audience's reaction fractures, a half groaning in sympathy for Kate, half chuckling at Denise's cheek, the divide as stark as the studio's binary lighting. Kate, whose life off-screen is a masterclass in measured response, from calmly addressing deepfake nudes to advocating for menopause openness, feels the personal twist like a slap, her cheeks flushing not with anger but with the sorrow of recognition. Denise, she replies, her tone a velvet glove over an iron fist, the job shouldn't demand we auction our dignity. I've turned down roles that asked me to starve for the sake of a silhouette, walked off sets where directors treated me like a mannequin. It's not luxury, it's loss, losing pieces of yourself to play the game. The exchange escalates, voices overlapping in a symphony of sincerity and spite, Denise countering with tales of her water rat stays, enduring leers from co-stars and critics alike, her recovery from mental health storms dissected in print like a lab specimen. You fight with scripts and spotlights, she snaps, eyes blazing. I fight with fragments of hangovers, headlines, the lot. Don't lecture me on loss, Bettel. The panel devolves into crosstalk, Christine's pleas for order drowned out by the rising tide, while the audience's energy surges, a palpable pulse that feeds the frenzy. Social feeds explode in tandem, Instagram stories capturing frozen frames of Kate's furrowed brow, TikToks remixing Denise's zingers with dramatic soundtracks. The hashtag #Winslet vs Welch climbing charts like a pop single. Viewers weigh in from living rooms across the UK, a Manchester mum tweeting support for Kate's poise, a Liverpool lass defending Denise as the voice we need, warts and all. Back on set, the heat intensifies, lights beaming down like judgmental suns, sweat beading on brows as the confrontation careens toward critical mass. Kate, drawing on decades of therapy and triumph, attempts bridge building. We're not enemies here. Denying your candor is what makes shows like this vital. But pitting our pains? That's the patriarchy's playbook. Divide and conquer. Yet Denise, fueled by a lifetime of feeling sidelined, overlooked for plum rolls post-soap, reduced to that outspoken bird in bios, doubles down, her Geordie growl cutting deeper. Patriarchy? Dry class Archie. Kate, you with your boarding school Polish and BAFTA buffers me, clawing from council estates. Your body's talk is Botox for the bourgeoisie. The barb hits home, evoking Kate's own admissions of privilege in past interviews, her tears on 60 Minutes recounting press hounds who haunted her post-pregnancy figure. The studio clock ticks mercilessly, the segment stretching thin as rubber, every second amplifying the stakes. Other panelists intervene sporadically in audio with a wise nod to intersectional feminism. Jane with a wry quip about all bleeding together eventually, but it's futile. The dyad of Winslet and Welch has become a vortex, sucking in empathy and exhaling enmity. As the host signals wrapping, Denise leans across the desk, voice low but lethal, walk your high road. They know see how far empathy gets you when the knives are out. Kate pauses, the weight of it all pressing down at the jet lag from LA, the prep for her next audition, the nagging voice of doubt that whispers she's too soft for this scrap. But she meets Denise's gaze, unflinching, and in that suspended moment, the air crackles with the promise of rupture, the kind that doesn't just end a segment but echoes into eternity, reshaping reputations and rallying the sisterhood in ways neither combatant could foresee. And just as the theme music cues faintly in the background, Kate's decision crystallizes, her chair scraping back not with defeat, but with the thunder of departure. With the studio lights casting long shadows that dance like specters across the polished floor, the climax of this loose women's showdown hurtles forward, a runaway train of tempers and truths careening toward inevitable collision, as Kate Winslet grapples with the raw nerve Denise Welch has so deftly exposed. The audience, now fully invested in this unscripted opera, hangs on every syllable. Their face is a mosaic of shock, solidarity, and schadenfreude, phones aloft like torches at a vigil for fallen decorum. Christine Lampard, her composure fraying at the edges like a well-worn script, tries one last Hail Mary. Okay, let's wrap with positive Kate. Any words for aspiring actresses watching? But the question lands like a pebble in a hurricane, barely registering amid the maelstrom. Kate, her heart pounding a rhythm of restrained fury beneath that calm exterior honed by years of on-set improvisations and off-screen reckonings, searches for the high ground, her mind flashing to pivotal moments of the birth of her children, the dissolution of marriages that taught her boundaries are not walls but wisdom. To the dreamers, she starts, voice steady as a lighthouse beam, own your story, scars and all. The world will try to edit you, but you hold the pen. It's a mic drop mantra, met with fervent claps that swell like a tide. But Denise, ever the contrarian storm, isn't done stirring the pot. Her face, etched with lines of laughter and lacerations from life's less gentle touches, twists into a sneer that's equal parts hurt and hubris. Stories? Yours is fairy tale. Tao rescued by Leo on a floating palace, now sainted for surviving spotlight. Try my plot. Soap diva to scandal sheet staple, every curve critiqued, every cry commodified. Your pen's gold-nibbed minds dipped in ink from the gutter. The accusation reverberates, a sonic boom that silences the cheers, exposing the chasm between their worlds. Kate's A-list ascent from reading girl to global envoy. Denise's gritty climb from stage school to sitcom survivor, marked by tabloid tempests and triumphant tell-alls. The panel fractures further, Nadia reaching across to pat Kate's hand in silent sisterhood, Jane muttering about enough already under her breath, while Christine's eyes dart to producers offstage, signaling the unspoken plea for intervention. But in the fishbowl of live TV, mercy is a myth, and the duel drags on, Kate countering with the precision of a fencer, gold nib or gutter. Denise, the ink's the Sammy blood, sweat, the ache of being seen but not heard. I've wept in dressing rooms over too much this or that, just like you've raged against the machine that chews us up. Why fight each other when the real foe's the lens that lies? Her words, laced with the empathy that's endeared her to fans from multiplexes to memes, hang poignant, a plea wrapped in power. But Denise, armored in armor of her own making, forged in the fires of familial feuds and public pylons, sees only challenge, empathy. Save it for your next Oscar speech. You're the golden girl who got to rewrite the rules. I'm the loudmouth left holding the bag of backlash. Walk off if you can't handle the heated doors that way. It's the breaking point, the Rubicon crossed with casual cruelty, and the audience inhales sharply, a collective held breath as Kate processes the gauntlet. Her eyes, those ocean-deep blues that have drowned audiences in emotion, well with unshed tears, not of weakness, but of weary recognition that some battles aren't won with words alone. In a heartbeat, she rises, chair gliding back with a whisper that belies the roar inside, her movements fluid yet final, like a queen abdicating a tainted throne. Denise, she says, voice crystalline in the stunned quiet, I came here to connect, not to clash. But if this is the conversation, count me out. I've got better fights to wage, with people who lift rather than lacerate. The studio erupts, gasps morphing to groans to a smattering of defiant cheers as Kate turns on her heel, striding toward the exit with the dignity of a woman who's faced down tsunamis and tabloids alike. Producers scramble behind the scenes, headsets buzzing with crisis mode, while the panel sits frozen, Christine's mouth agape, Nadia's hand outstretched in vain appeal, Jane shaking her head in disbelief. Denise, for a split second, registers shock, her bar meant to provoke, not perplex, before masking it with a defiant shrug, muttering good riddance just loud enough for the mix to catch. But as Kate pushes through the heavy doors, the cool corridor air hitting her like absolution, the weight lifts, replaced by a surge of indication she's not fleeing defeat, but claiming victory in refusal, a masterclass in boundaries broadcast to millions. Outside, the October chill of 2025 greets her, paparazzi flashes already igniting like distant fireworks, but Kate pauses, exhaling deeply, her mind alight with the next chapter, perhaps a candid Instagram post, or a quiet call to allies, turning this tempest into testimony. Back inside, The show stumbles forward, Christine ad-libbing apologies laced with levity. Well, that escalated quickly. As laughter punctuates the awkwardness, but the damage is indelible, a scar on loose women's legacy that will fuel fodder for weeks. Social spheres ignite instantaneously, Twitter timelines ablaze with clips, Reddit threads dissecting every dart, from Kate's grace under fire to Denise dragging the show down again. Fans rally up petitions for Kate's return, memes of Titanic doors slamming on drama while critics pen op-eds on Toxic Talk TV, questioning if candor has curdled into cruelty. For Denise, the aftermath looms like a hangover, support from her diehards who hail her as unfiltered queen, backlash from broader brigades decrying her as past her prime provocateur. Yet in the quiet aftermath, both women, poles apart yet paralleled in perseverance, might find common ground in reflection. A Kate journaling by firelight in her countryside haven, Denise nursing a gin in her urban era, acknowledging that the real walk-off is from the scripts society hands us, toward self-scripted sovereignty. And as the episode fades to credits, the echo lingers. In the arena of women's words, sometimes the bravest exit is the one that redefines the ring.